All right, getting ready to install the heads on this Prime I3200 dual print head. We're setting this printer up for the first time, brand new. Just want to show you guys a few tips and tricks. Number one, I've started using hot glue for these print heads. I hate it when my customers, if you have a DTF printer, you're gonna have to replace the tampers. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Some of you guys might have access to tech support. Others may be far. In this case, this guy's coming to pick this printer up and he's going far, so I coated the print heads with hot glue right here, which possibly down the road when you have to replace a print head, you're probably going to have to replace the cables as well. I've had good luck. I put a large amount so that it peels off pretty easily, so the head cables are salvageable, but it creates a barrier. I wrapped some tape around there and then just hit it with some hot glue, and I actually put a seal right in the middle of these two cables too, so it can't slide down. Because what happens, I've said it many times in videos, somebody's gonna hit one of them dampers, they're changing it, it's gonna run down the head cables, and this will act as a secondary barrier to make sure you're doing that. Another thing, when you're working with the head cables, you don't have to be scared if something's come loose. Oftentimes I have to triple check things before I hit the power to make sure that these print heads, because I've ruined enough print heads in my life that I am scareder than most. So that helps me. I know they're not going nowhere. I could dangle this print head and I know it's not going to pull out, so I don't have to worry about them connections. It's pretty much here at the top. So we're going to start installing these. I'll go step by step. The dampers have been removed from the plastic. We've got all of the ink lines back here. You can see on the back of these machines how they're set up. Pretty easy connection system. So we've got all that stuff ran, and now we're going to install the print heads, and I'll keep you posted. As you can see, we've got the screws in, but I will note that there is no fourth screw behind here. There is no screw hole in the I3200 heads back here. This is how you know that you have in the correct orientation. You want to make sure that this label right here is facing the front, and the same with the one in the back. There you go. I made sure to route these in the correct orientation so that the wires aren't tangled or overlapping. I am going to, here in a second, and I'll show you how I do it, I am going to prime these dampers once I put ink in. That'll make the job a little bit easier, but I want to do this one by one so I don't make a mess. I went ahead and seated the dampers. You likely received a bunch of these dampers, and it's not because they was being nice. These are very common to go bad. They're cheap Chinese dampers, and they didn't send you an extra set because they wanted you to have backups. They sent them to you because one of these, or a few of them, may not be any good. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and manually fill these dampers. I'll show you how that's done. As you can see, with the glue on here, they still sit very well. I didn't coat the bottoms very well because I didn't want them putting any pressure right here. The tops are coated real good. The bottoms have a little thin layer. There you go. Next, I will load some ink up and show you how I prime these dampers before doing our first initial cleaning. Everything else on the machine looks good. All right, so what I wanted to first show you is there is two different types of syringes. This one right here is more suited for this job. These right here, not so much. They're a little bit trickier. They do work, but if you have the opportunity to order, make sure you order one with a nozzle like this. So here we go. Number one, I want to make sure that I pull out straight. I want to grab the damper. Let's see if I can. I'll start with this one so you can see. I want to grab right here firmly and just wiggle these out of there one at a time. Ensure not to hit that little valve right there. Very important. Do not hit that. These are compression dampers, and anytime that you hit this little valve, it's going to expel ink. So we want to keep from doing that. I want to pull it out tightly, and I want to hold it just like this in an upward orientation. I'm going to insert my syringe and draw ink. I'm just going to give it a little bit of pressure. And if everything's correct, we should see the magenta ink flow. Need to give it a little bit more pressure. Let's go ahead and redo this. I can see we're getting a little bit of air somewhere. This might be a bad damper. I want to make sure I hold nice and tight, and there we go. So now I just want to fill that damper, get a little bit of ink in there, just like that. Just a little bit, not much. You can see I've filled that valve right there. Now I want to carefully place that right here. Oh, I have it in the wrong orientation since I was showing you, so now I made a mess potentially, but there we go. Now I did do something that is my golden rule, and I had everything ready, but whenever I started getting the camera ready, I moved things. It's very important. I'm showing you guys bad stuff, so make sure you have them cables protected at all times. Getting things ready for this video, I had it ready, and then I wanted to show you guys the connectors. I was like, I'll do a video, show the connectors, and took out my barrier so I don't have any issues. So as you can see, whenever I just did what I did, and I would have typically not done that, but I had to show the camera from that angle, so you can see I got a little bit of magenta ink down here. Not much, just a little bit, but big no. So I'm gonna do the next one as well. I don't need to show you the valve, so I'm just gonna again grab this, gently lift up. I'm just glad I had my hot glue on there, so it wasn't gonna hurt anything anyway. So here I am again, have it again, grab my syringe, which I placed over here. I'm going to get it ready for suctioning again. I'm just gonna go ahead and wipe some of that magenta off and repeat the process. Again, holding it upward. Now, if this wasn't working, then it'd probably be a bad damper. Just get a little bit of ink. Bam, done. Place that to the side. Make sure I have it in the correct orientation again. Make sure that I don't get kinked up. Always grabbing from the side. You can wipe this off as well. We're going to go back in there, navigate all these cables, wiggle it back in, and there we have it. And then we'll rinse and repeat on these next two dampers. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Again, I didn't get any ink anywhere that time. The white ink I'm going to wait on till after I install the head cables, because I'd like to get the ink circulation going so that we get it filled up in here before I start syringing on the white. So we'll do that part. I'll show you guys how I do the head cables, and as soon as I prime them dampers. All right, so now that we've got all of our dampers primed, I'm going to work on these cables, and I want to show you a quick tip. When it comes to most of these headboards, down is up and up is down. So this is your down cable right here. It goes to the bottom. So I want to keep things about like this, up and down, down. This is your furthest one down, so it needs to go up. It'll go this way. So I took these things right here so that we can put our little, so we can keep them nice and organized. So I took one screw out of each side so that we can actually get these head cables under this retainer. How this one goes is, this is the right side of the printhead, so it goes to the right side of the board. Again, this one back here is your up, this is your down. So we want to insert these cables nice and straight. Make sure they're in there straight. There we go. And we want to repeat it for the left side. Here we go. Just like this. Down is up, is in the top position, and it's going to go over here. I want to make sure it gets under this part. There we have it. And again, we're going to repeat the same process. Making sure they go in without damaging the pins. And we're going to repeat the process for the other side. I want to check these multiple times before I power up this machine and make sure that they're straight. That's very important. I want to make sure that these are held down so nothing snags. That's going to be my next thing, to put the head back in this retainer. Make sure that they're pulled back tightly so they do not bind or hit on anything. Replace that screw. I just wanted to show you on here. We can see the blue on the back. The front we cannot. It's on the back side. So
That's how they're supposed to go.
All right, so there we have it. As you can see, I take a little bit of tape and connect these cables just so they're not flopping. We've got them nice and secure here. I did a little bit of a pull. That way they don't catch on anything up here. Very important. I've seen cases where these have caught on something and ripped out and fried print heads, boards, and everything. So we have ran the circulation pump, and we now have ink in the white dampers. And we did this with just a little bitty drop because I switched the dampers around to show you on camera. God darn it. Usually I do it without any marks, but I'll get out some swabs and clean that up. But there we have it. Nice and neat. Let me show you again. Most of these head cables is down is up is down. You'll see it in the manual. And what they're referring to is the down connector, which is the bottom. And I can always know that this is my down. It flows just like that. This is my down cable, and it is the front cable right there. And it actually shows on the board, it'll say down and up, so you know what they're talking about. But before I power this on, again, check all of them connectors. Make sure that they are not crooked. Very important. People do not realize that if they're not put in correctly, they will fry your print heads. These Hoson boards are pretty tough. They usually blow the print heads before they do the boards, but a lot of printers you'll blow boards, but the sound's a little bit different. So those are nice and tight. All right, we're going to fire up and see if the capping's working properly, if everything's flowing. All right, so we're going to go ahead and make sure the pumps are all working correctly. So I'm going to go here to menu, head maintenance, push over, clean options. I'm going to go to fill ink. It'll run a little bit longer, but I'm going to go to fill ink. I'm going to do both heads. I'm going to hit enter. And here we go. Let's see if this works. There we go with the colored ink, and there we go with the white ink. So it seems everything is working fine. There we go. Now we'll be able to do some test prints. This was a success.